to go ahead and give their babies a chance. So that's how I got involved with the legislative process. This wasn't something any little girl says, gee, I want to be a politician one day. No. So it's always been about, are there any firemen or first responders in the room? Anybody in the military? Raise your hand. Okay. Father, you're a first responder too. So, we run toward the problem instead of running away from it. So when I ran for office in 22, I just came short. And then I was the Federated Republican Woman President for Jefferson County for 4 years. If you had anything to do with vote no on Amendment 3 in 24, or you saw any signs along the 55 corridor, they probably came off my porch. So I ended up running again when our state representative passed away just a year ago, August 24th. Ken Waller, God rest his soul, passed away suddenly, and I found myself being peer pressured to run for state representative again. And believe me, I did not want to do this because it's really hard, doesn't pay anything, and people like to make fun of you. So that's what it is. But when you're in a journey with God and you're on that path, you stay with Him. So the next thing I knew, we had this data center thing going on in Festus, Missouri. And that's where you see these signs, no data center, no data center. And what happened was the administrator and the city council signed non-disclosure agreements with a company called CRG Clayco. Now, I got to take the tour up at Clayco and see the nice shiny building, and they told me that you never want to put this in a residential area, it's going to go in an industrial area. Well, those things didn't happen for Festus. So we had a lot of funny stuff going on that had to be uncovered. It's been it's been very unpleasant for the last year for the good, wonderful community of Festus, Missouri. It's been more just constant ripping the community apart. So, I just want to warn you, don't let that happen here. Any of your city council, please don't sign any non-disclosure agreements. And please stay transparent with the people, because if it's a good development, there won't be people screaming in a gymnasium, right?
Yeah.
So what happened in Festus was there's a beautiful residential area right at 67 and CC. There's a 364 acres that is going to be turned into a data center. And it was residential. The city council zoned it, annexed it from the county, and then they zoned it industrial. And the people started really panicking, and they didn't have any real idea of what was going on because of the constant just secrecy. And so it's been very heartbreaking to watch. And I hope everybody can learn from this. And there's the idea of us in my district, District 114, which goes from Barnhart to Festus, we'll probably never be able to get a data center that would be acceptable, maybe a smaller one that might be a good source of Jack's revenue, maybe something that would be more eco-friendly, like what you guys might be looking at. Because everybody is so turned off from data centers, they'll never be, I don't believe in the recent future anybody will try to get that done. So, and there's lots of questions about, how dangerous is a data center? How much water does it use? How much electric does it use? And those all depend on what type of data center it is. If it's an AI hyperscale data center, somebody in my district actually snuck a Bitcoin mining data center in. a small one out in the woods. So Jefferson County is an interesting place. They have had set up various, like you guys are doing with the strict regulations and parameters. Now this morning, I was with a press conference with the Futures Committee. Bryant, Wolfin, you probably know a few of those guys that were running this morning. They had a press conference, and they basically have been working on a document that they wanted to give to people like your community. It was kind of great that I was there and I was able to get 10 copies for Perryville. So it basically they're things for people to ask about and for you to investigate. And probably, if you really do it, I would imagine you probably want to get a real expert on it because of the difficulty in understanding all the ins and the outs. Now, we do have a situation, if you want to take a look at that, pass it around, go ahead. We do have a situation in Jefferson County where CRG has bought another large property, and we're looking at 850 acres of another AI hyperscale data center at Highway P and Highway A. And then there's also 6 additional areas that are being looked at because where we live, there's a huge power line that's ready to go, and then you cross that with one of the largest gas pipelines that goes along 55, and of course you have an abundance of water supposedly. So that's why we're targeted in Jefferson County. We have 3 different developers, 8 different sites. None of those sites, besides Festus, is actually known about because the developers don't want to bring it in until they have more things done. It also depends on elections and who you've got in your county council. So it's a very contentious time because we live out here not to look at a building in our backyards, right? We are all we really value our beautiful countryside. And so that's something for, the mayor and the council to please keep in mind. And if you guys are looking at industrial, that's great. That was never proposed for us. And they're still not looking at that for us in Jefferson County. So there's a lot of hot heads that we have at every single meeting. And it's tearing our community apart. So I'm glad that you guys are doing this so transparently. Just a couple of things. I have, the things that they've done in Festus, because we do have so many people we know where this isn't being done. You guys aren't doing transparent work. So people, we have a little sheet we direct people to go to with Wake Up Jeffco. And Wake Up Jeffco is actually an LLC. It's a way that we are able to collect money and pay to Steve Jeffries, who is the attorney who handles the 12 different municipalities throughout the state of Missouri that are in this exact same situation with a secretive council. So we have to go, one thing at a time. So at first, we were trying to get, of course you guys probably heard about the vote, right? The vote in Jefferson County back in April, where we kind of became famous because they voted in the data center. The next week was a council meeting or a vote, a municipal vote where there were 4 long-term state or councilmen on the ballot, and they all got swept off. Okay.
Good.
And yeah, it was very, very good for the people. We thought, wow, we're really getting somewhere. And then the people said, well, we're going to go ahead and get a recall petition going. So then they went around all the houses and asked people to sign the recall petition if they were in the Festus city limits. And very quickly, they were able to get those signatures. They didn't do the 25%, they did 35% of the signatures to recall the mayor and the other 3 councilmen. They took it to the county clerk. The county clerk made sure that these were all notarized. And I met the notary, he was very diligent Everything was done completely above board. The county clerk said, these are correct, we should be able to go to a vote. But wait, there's a little Missouri statute that says if you're a small Class C town with a charter government, this has to go back to the council to vote on. So the mayor and the 3 councilmen, that would be 4, right? And they're gonna vote themselves back in, right? Well, then there's 4 other people that just got voted on, right? So it'd be a tie, right? But no, one of the new people turncoated, which caused even more fury. Now at this point, we're going into the meetings, everybody has to be wanded, you know, the police, there's like 10 policemen, they all have their bulletproof vests on, and everybody has to be searched to go into the meetings. And so that's why it got very contentious, and every meeting is very contentious. So the mayor and the 3 councilmen are still there. And they won't step down. So it puts everybody in a very combative situation, and that's what's going on in Festus. So maybe we all ought to pray for them, right? In the meantime, there was a developer that came in and said he wanted to build a subdivision on the other side on Buck Creek Road. So the folks that live on Buck Creek have a data center coming in the valley, and then a developer wanted to put 150 houses on, or I'm sorry, 129 houses on 50 acres across the way. So you can just imagine what we've been through in Festus, Missouri. So maybe, you know, I think prayer fixes everything, but we need more of it. So I don't want to bore you guys with all the details. Did you guys have any particular questions you wanted to ask? Yes.
So after our recent meeting, we became aware that the problem wasn't really city, the county's problem. So I looked in that further. 10 states have moratoriums to stop data centers. Missouri is not one of those on the list. How do we get that to happen?
Well, that is a really good question, and that's something we asked for the Festus City Council. Will you give us a moratorium?
The second.
Okay.
Did you all hear the question?
Okay.
Okay, so we know the city is addressing it, and the question was pertaining to the county. So I'm going to, and the state.
So they're asking for, can we do a state moratorium?
Moratoriums.
And I don't think that's gonna happen with this governor. Bryant.
What?
This governor is not open to that suggestion. So I know on September 16th, there's a group they're getting all the people that do not want data centers in Missouri. They're going to the Capitol Rotunda during the veto session. And so they're asking people that want to weigh in on it to come to the Capitol on September 16th for that.
We have no way to petition that or anything?
That would be, I'm not sure exactly the proper way to go about that. Next question? Yes.
I'm just curious, you know, why are they wanting these data? Is there a lot of money involved in these cities?
Yes, sir.
Getting? So it's all about the money.
It is about the money.
Stupid.
Yeah, it's all about the money. That's why I was wondering, because they must be getting an awful lot.
I don't know the exact figures because they're all different sizes, and it depends on how you negotiate the deal. Festus, when we finally got to see some of the details on it, it was an 85% tax abatement. That only 25% of the work, the labor was going to come from unions, and that was just in good faith, and it was very questionable on whether any of it was gonna come from actually Jefferson County. So the labor union guys fell off, except for the leaders. And they sunk a lot of money into for this election, August 4th, the labor unions had sunk a lot of money into people that were pro data center. So the election ended up being if you were for the data center or if you were against the data center. And everybody that was for the data center did not get voted in. But there was a lot of work to that. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
I came here basically out of curiosity because I don't know what the hubbub is all about. What is a data center? And what, you're talking about lights and electric and water and everything.
Good question.
What exactly is it?
So does everybody here have a phone, smartphone, or a computer? Or, you know, when you have your laptop on your lap and you've been using it for a little bit, you notice how hot it gets?
Yeah.
So that's like a little mini data center, right? Because it's storing the data. So when you're talking about all of the stuff that you have, the cloud, a data center is the cloud. They're storing the cloud in a building. And like your phone, have you guys ever used your phone and it says you gotta turn it off because it's overheating?
That any kind of electronic device that has any kind of internet capability, they're storing all that information. Like, there's a lot of people who are really up in arms about all of the flock cameras.
Yeah, so she's asking about flock cameras
All of
and
that
stating,
information is.
yes. So, and that's the greatest thing is, you know, we have Facebook and YouTube and all these different things where people can share information. There's a lady at our council meeting last night, Janine Kreider, and she's actually traveled to 3 different AI hyperscale data center sites, but they are much bigger than what you guys are talking about, okay? The AI is very loud and there's diesel fuel involved, and so they can also catch on fire. I don't want to go into all the terribleness of it because there are environmentally friendly ways to do it, and that's I think what you guys are really cognizant of. So I don't want to create like, you know, panic, and we don't want to get off on that, go down that road. Unfortunately for the people of Festus, they don't really know what they're getting. And so there's a real big issue of trust. Bryant, did you want to talk, do you want to add anything? Because I know you've done a little work on this. Here, give it a
He
good.
can use this.
Well,
Way to put me on the spot, Dan. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. It is obviously a great turnout here, and I see people all across kind of not only the political spectrum, but also within our community. You know, city administrator, we got the city council here, we got folks from St. Genevieve as well, and so it's great to see everybody here learning, which I think is the most important thing that we can do, as there's still a lot of what ifs, and there's still a lot of changing in the data center world. And so for me, you know, the talks that are kind of happening right now in the state level are, and from what I've heard, is trying to keep it as local as we can, which I think is actually a good direction to go. Because, you know, as much as I'm not a super big fan of data centers, who knows, maybe someone down in maybe the Sikeston community is, or maybe the Kansas City side of the state is. So I think trying to just give the tools to the local governments so that way they can have meetings like I think that they had last Tuesday. Sorry I couldn't make it, I was in Iowa at my daughter's gymnastics, sorry about that. But that way they have those types of meetings. That way we can have these types of meetings so we can determine what's best for our community. Because what's best for Perryville or best for St. Genevieve may not necessarily be best for Festus or Cape Girardeau or what goes across the state. So, but there are, one thing I will say is there are some very serious conversations that are taking place, and I expect the data center side of things to be at the forefront of what we're going to see in the next legislative cycle. Now, what that looks like, I don't know. I'm sure I have my preference, and I'm sure many of us would all have our preference, but those conversations are still yet to be had. So, Basically, all I can really add is, that's kind of my opinion, and I said this at a candidate forum a couple Tuesdays back, is that I think the state needs to give the tools to the local government. So right now, a lot of cities, due to planning and zoning ordinances, have the opportunity to create moratoriums or in some instances downright ban data centers for the time being, whereas a lot of rural counties don't have that opportunity. A lot of rural counties are not planning and zoning counties, and therefore they cannot create setbacks or ordinances that would prevent these from coming into the community right now. Now, as a small government guy, I would not like, that lives in St. Genevieve County, I would not like to see St. Genevieve County become a planning and zoning county. So I think our commissioners share the same sentiment, and maybe yours would as well here in Perry County. But what we can do, I think, at the state is probably pass legislation that does allow counties to set setbacks. With setback meaning, like, it can't be within 2,000 feet of a residential property or things along those lines. Similar to probably what the city did. I don't know what that ordinance looks like, Brent, where you're at. Oh, there you are, sir. But it's similar to what they've done here, to where you can essentially force to where they can only go in a certain part of the community, and some places you can create setbacks where they cannot come into the community at all. And we've already looked at this when it comes to like landfills and things along those lines, so this isn't like something that's crazy and we've never seen this before. It's something that's already been talked about in the past, and I think it's I'm pretty confident that we're gonna see legislation like that comes up in the future here. So, yes, sir.
There are strength in numbers. Attacking a small community, all different places, is easy. If they have to attack a state, that is a big difference. Allowing them to just put it off on the local small communities to deal with does not give us the support we need from our state government. If other states can have a moratorium for their state, where these small communities do not have to face this fight alone, where there is strength in numbers, we need that, we desire that, we deserve that.
Sure. Well, and right now, I think you have, in many communities, you have the opportunity to be able to create moratoriums. And like I said, in those communities that we can't right now, we need to offer them the tools to be able to do so. So to me, like I said, as a small government guy, I think it sets a bad precedent if we just come in as a state government or as a federal government that just comes in and basically says like, oh, no, we don't like that, that's too bad. I think each individual county or each individual community, like what our founders believed in with kind of federalism and with the 10th Amendment, specifically our federal constitution, that each state is different. And that's similar the way that I look at things at the state level. Yes, ma'am.
You keep saying, give us the tools. What are those tools? Like, what does that look like? What would that be in detail that the state would be able to give to small communities to help protect themselves?
Yeah, so it's essentially like setbacks and things like that. So what a setback is, like I alluded to earlier, the question is, what are the tools that the state can give the counties? Right now, as I said earlier, planning, zoning, or non-planning and zoning counties cannot create setbacks to prevent businesses. Are you from St. Genevieve County? Or from Perry County? Okay. So you may be familiar with like some silicon mines that have kind of came in around the areas. Our county had to pass an ordinance that, I don't know all the details, so I can't really get into it, but they passed something with the help of like DNR to try to prevent that from coming in. Making sure that we have similar scenarios like that to where the counties can essentially set setbacks or set specific ordinances, environmental ordinances and things along those lines to prevent them from coming in. That silicon mine was pretty close to my house. If they would have taken away from our aquifer, then I probably would have been disappointed. So, as someone who's thankful for our commissioners to try to step up and prevent that, they helped my property. And so hopefully, like, we can, as I said, as a state, allow the counties to do that. And right now, it seems like they do not have those tools.
And those are things that have helped prevent it from happening.
Yes.
Not like once the process is already started.
Yeah, it would be to prevent it from happening. So like, for instance, if it were to start right now, chances are there would be things that would be grandfathered in, for sure. But, you know, like I said, this is kind of something that's already been talked about with landfills, before, specifically like Franklin County and things along those lines, they're having issues with that. So giving these, it didn't pass this session, but giving the local counties, and municipalities the tools to be able to do that is something that I'm very confident will for sure be talked about. Whether or not it passes the process, you know, that's a long road, I don't know.
I have a question back here.
May I? I didn't make sure, I didn't have to pull something off, hard out. No. Till Saturday night, okay, I didn't realize what all has been going on in the city of St. Charles. City of St. Charles has totally blocked the data center. Any and all. Now, the last story I heard last night was there's like 6 or 7 representatives that's gonna meet with St. Charles County or City of St. Charles or whatever, and there's gonna be discussion about how to get an emporium or whatever in the whole state. Is that accurate information?
So there was a press conference this morning, and it was Colin
Well, King.
that led the meeting, and he is an environmental lawyer, and he helped get the moratorium, or actually total ban in St. Charles City. And that is the document, and there's more documents up there that I was able to procure for you guys. I've got 10 copies. This group of legislators in the Futures Committee put together things that your community and your board and your council and your administrator, it's a tool for you guys to use for questions to ask that might help you to be able to clarify things. And I do want to add one thing, and before we go on to your question, I'll give you the mic. When we're talking about wells, one of the big panics in Festus, Missouri was CRG was going to be able to drill down 1,500 feet for their well. Wow. Well, my well is 650 feet. So I know it's just gonna be a matter of time before I have to drill, and there's a lot of people with wells in the beautiful hills.
I'm gonna give her that, okay.
Current state law allows electric companies to apply for special rates for users of megawatts or more. From what I can find, that could be up to, right into it, okay. Current state law allows electric companies to apply for special rates for users of 50 megawatts or more. And from what I could find, that could be up to 35% discount for them. It also allows that lost revenue to be passed on to all of its other customers. Completely legal. So, Citizens Electric applies for and gets a special rate for a data center here. It's not just the residents of our county. It is St. John County. It is Franklin County. It is Cape County. There's 4 counties affected that wouldn't be benefiting from the community benefit agreement.
And vice versa.
And vice versa. Is HJR 173 and 174 repealing RSMO 393.355?
So, is the RSMO that you just listed off, was that?
That's the
RSMO?
electric.
Okay.
Special rates.
So no, HJR 173 and 174 was Amendment 5 that failed. So, but even with that, no, it would not repeal. So that RSMO, per my recollection, came through Senate Bill 4, which happened last year in 2025.
It was passed 2021.
Oh, it's passed in 2021, all right, excuse me then. Then I am unfamiliar with that bill, but it sounds a lot like what was in Senate Bill 4.
Oh, no, the RSMO was 2021.
But yeah, but it might have been updated, so like the it is possible, I'd have to go back and look at the specific RSMO, but that current RSMO is currently in statute, and it will still be in statute.
Okay. We've been told that there is current legislation that is in the works that will prevent these increase increase electric rates for the other customers. Have you seen anything coming?
I have not seen anything, but, you know, right now we are in, our interim session, right? So we're not in legislative session, nor will we be until January. So come January, that's when we'll start to see all new legislation filed. So unless the governor calls a special session to deal with these issues, which from what I've heard is not going to happen, none of that will change until at least come January when new legislation is filed. And I guess pre-filing's in December, but it is officially filed in January, and then anything that's signed into law won't take into effect until August 28th of that year of the legislative session.
Bryant, can you explain a little bit like what she's questioning about the utilities and about the special rates for basically data centers opposed to residential, and that residential citizens will be absorbing a higher impact?
Do you want to hammer that one? She might be a better answer for that one.
So I actually spoke to a gentleman that was the director of Missouri Power for about 40, he was in the industry for about 43 years, and he just retired. And he said, you can't quote me on this, but he did. I said, you know, we're really worried about the rates. And he said, Ann, absolutely. What's going on is developers are coming into a community, and you've all been paying for this grid of electric for the last several years, right? You got it paid, and your rates are going up right now anyway, right? But they're coming in and they're buying cheap. And then when they build that data center and they plug in, they're gonna shoot it up, and y'all are gonna have to build more. And your rates are gonna go up. Now, I know there was a Senate bill that was supposed to be protecting us from that. I know the president said that they're trying to protect us from that, but most folks really aren't trusting the government right now. You know what I mean? And just to be totally transparent with you guys, there's not a lot of oversight on things from stem to stern. So it's, up to you guys on where you want to go with that. So it depends on your, I think, yes, sir.
There's already been examples of not necessarily in Missouri, but different parts of the country where the AI has taken over the electrical grid and stolen the electricity not authorized, and is causing rolling blackouts for the residential areas.
Yes, sir.
So it's more than just the cost. It's
Yes,
about
sir.
securing your resources.
Yeah, and then that's another whole thing with the AI that we've created. And I understand, I've listened to a lot of different things from researching this for my community. And I have a brother that is in charge of a computer network out of Scottsdale Air Force Base. So they're very high level, top, secret security. And he just said, Annie, do everything you can to stop that data center.
I do have a question for both of you guys. So in Perry County, we're seeing a disturbing situation where there's the school, hospital, or this, not necessarily this situation, but our publicly elected servants are not honoring the Sunshine Law. They're signing non-disclosure agreements. And I just think we need more teeth in the Sunshine Law and make them not be allowed to sign these do not disclose agreements.
So, if an NDA was signed that violates Sunshine Law, then a Sunshine Law request would open that NDA up, from my understanding. So, obviously that does take somebody from the community to do that, right? It doesn't just happen by itself.
But Brian, I don't think they're honoring that in any respect. I don't think it has a lot of teeth in it, is my point.
Do you know if anyone has,
Well, I don't want to get off in the weeds, but I'm just making you alert back then.
well, as someone who has put in a Sunshine request before, I thought the process worked pretty well. But in regards to that specific scenario, I don't know. But I get your point, yeah, and that's what Sunshine is there for, right? If for some reason there was an NDA signed and especially dealing with taxpayer dollars, to my knowledge, that would violate Sunshine, and a request would open that up, so.
So have you guys tried that in Jefferson County?
Have we tried sunshine laws, sunshine law requests, or, exercising that in Jefferson County? Yes, we have. And it has been a very great disappointment to the people in Jefferson County that there's really not a lot of oversight with all the different situations that we have been experiencing in Jefferson County. So, it sounds like you guys are much cleaner down here, honestly, but I don't know. I do know that no one's coming to save you.
Right.
The ME's, the Missouri Ethics Commission, the Attorney General, the Secretary of State. We actually had a felon, who was registering or, filing for office to be our county clerk in charge of our elections in Jefferson County. And I was in the Secretary of State's office in Jefferson City that day, and I said, this gentleman who is a known felon who does not even live in the county, has just registered, has just filed to be our county clerk. Will you help us? He was on the ballot, and he almost won. No one's coming to save you. The complacency of our American citizens and the 15% voter turnout or whatever we have is over. If you want good government, if you want good governance, if you want transparency, get up and do it yourself. No one's coming to save us. And we have only to look in the mirror and look at the government we have, because there's this little saying, and you guys know it, evil persists when enough. You are correct.
Thank you.
Another question? Any other questions?
Do you concur?
With what she said, absolutely, yeah. So Article 1, Section 1 of the state constitution, sorry if you guys have heard me say this before, but it says that the state government of Missouri derives its power from its citizens, from the people. And she's right. What she says is 100% right. Complacency certainly will allow government to run rampant. So it is the due diligence of the people to stand up and fight for the government that they want.
Do you think that there are any true legal ramifications that could be started by the citizens with this current government? I mean, they're in charge of the courts, and, we see at a federal level that they're in charge of the court. So other than voting, really, I think most of us want to know, what can we do?
Yeah, so the question is essentially, besides voting, what can you do? You can absolutely sue the government. You're speaking to someone who is right now. So there's Senate Bill 3, which was last year, the chief state tax subsidy bill, along that it had other things like natural disaster tax credits, and it also had property tax freezes within certain counties. And we see that as unconstitutional. We, meaning myself, Senator Mike Moon, and a friend of ours who is a citizen and is paying for most of this on his own dime. And so when you see that the government is doing something that is whether nefarious or unconstitutional, whether that's your municipality, your county, your state government, you have the tools. Of course, it's not free. There is money behind that, and so I guess when we get done with our suit, I can let you know how that goes. And Mike?
One thing I would like to see, and I don't know if it's possible at all, but get rid of testing.
Yeah, Mike, be louder, Mike.
Testing.
Get rid of the voting in April. Nobody votes in April. That's when they always put the school bond issues up. That's when they put the marijuana issue up. If they wouldn't make it in November, when the national presidential elections, everything else, people get out and vote for them. But no one, out of St. John County, we got like 15,000 voters and like 1,500 voters.
Wow.
Well, I think I speak for probably every elected office holder in the room, and I think everybody in general, that we would love to see 60, 70% voter turnout. It's, this time around, I think Perry County, you guys have over 40, Jared? 42, I think, was that most in the state?
Actually, we had the highest in the state in April. We were at 36.54 or something like that.
Right, and so, thank you, Jared. And so, like, that's, as awesome as that is, we still want more, right? So I will say, St. Charles is actually going to be the, what's the word I'm looking for here? A pilot program. So I think it's a specific school district in St. Charles County, or maybe schools in St. Charles County in general are going to be having their votes moved to November as kind of a pilot program. So Mike, what you're talking about will be tested in St. Charles. And then I guess we'll see how that goes and change accordingly. Yeah.
So what can you guys do? I want to answer that and I'll go right to you, ma'am. So this is, there's a website called Missouri Ethics Commission. And all the politicians, like Bryant and I, the dirty politicians, we have to do these quarterly reports and put down who has given to us and what we spent money on. You guys can actually look up and find out exactly who paid Ann Moloney and who paid Bryant and what we spent our money on. This has been something in Jefferson County that has caused great disturbance. But you get down to it. This is a PAC, a political action committee that had to put down who gave them money and what they spent, who got their money. So you guys can do that with every single PAC and every single politician you have and look up their Missouri Ethics Commission report and find out all kinds of stuff. And then we have this thing called Facebook that you can actually put it out there and let your friends and neighbors know. This is a little piece of paper our friends at Wake Up Jeffco put out, and it says actions to take. This is just an example that you guys can do in your own community on whatever issue you have. Go to brockovichdatacenter.com and fill out the form. Sign up to help us at 61 Mile Yard Sale, 2 to 3 hour shift, or you can donate stuff to sell at a yard sale, or you can donate and ask businesses for auction items at an event. We actually had, all my fundraisers for this election were for Wake Up Jeffco. So this is kind of cool how this happened. When I started helping the data center folks, I decided I wasn't gonna take any PAC money. And I felt so beholden to them to try to raise money to pay for the lawyer that my two, I guess we had 2 or 3 fundraisers and the money went to Wake Up Jeffco. Well, everybody's like, Ann, you're crazy, you don't even have enough money for a flyer, for a mailer. My opponent sent out 7 mailers. I didn't have money for any. My Wake Up Jeffco people, who consisted of libertarians, Green parties, Democrats, purple parties, and I think even a transgender party, went out to the polls and got me in. And also got every single person that was against that were against data centers. So that is like really cool, isn't it? And that's, I don't have anything money-wise. So it's just trust. And that's how it worked out for me. I think my opponent probably spent, I don't know, 40 or 50,000. He had like 10,000 from the labor unions. So it was kind of neat. And I also had the labor union bug on my signs, but they didn't care. So it was interesting how it all went down. Yes?
I just have a question about the water. The thousands of gallons that they will come in and use, they say it's in a closed loop system. They say it's gotta be released sometime and there's chemicals in that and released where.
So you guys ever change your oil right?
Yeah.
You know what it looks like, and you're like, oh, you don't want to put that, you know, it's really toxic, right? So, even with a closed loop system, you're using that, there's chemicals coming out of that, the longer it's in there, it's getting dirtier and dirtier and dirtier and more toxic. So that would be my, you know, biggest caution is that one, because when you let it out into the environment, there's been some huge environmental issues across the country that we've heard of. And then, of course, the low frequencies, there's the sound, and then there's the low frequencies that you don't hear. That's another big problem. And, you know, I would also say, if you think something, because, you know, we out here in the country, we had the Doe Run lead smelter that poisoned a lot of people. We had Westinghouse, which poisoned a lot of people. That's where they want to put the new data center, another one, which those guys would be digging in the radioactive soil. So I guess folks think, you know, we don't have enough money to value our life. I don't know why these things come about, but I would say to protect your water, like it's life itself, because it is life itself, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, there's this nice lady. I skipped that nice lady. I'm sorry.
Which, right there?
Right here.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry.
I think this is working again.
Yeah, there you go. Whew. You got it.
I have several questions. One was you said something about St. Charles had a data center up, that's north of us. So if they have to tap into the aqua system up there, then that's going to affect us down here because it runs this way.
Yes, ma'am.
That's one issue that
yeah.
I haven't heard anybody talk about.
Well,
Even if it's someplace else, far, you know, it's still too close. If it affects us, it's too close. It's not acceptable. The other thing is, I've heard, I think he said a while ago, 2,000 feet away if they put a data center in from a person's property. I read online where there was an ordinance being put in that said 500 feet. And then somebody else told me here
Jefferson
that
County did that,
they said
500 feet.
250 feet. So, I mean, I've heard people tell me about the noise pollution. They said they can close every window in their house, sleep in the back bedroom, and the noise is still so loud that they can't even sleep at night. So it causes stress that way. If they're gonna tap into our aqua system and take all the water out of the aqua system, then what they're doing is they're forcing people to move off their land because you can't live without water.
And again, there are different types of data centers.
Right,
and,
I understand that there's
yeah.
a loop, there's closed loop, there's ones that uses more water than closed loop. I was told that the closed loop ones have to change every 2 years, I think they said. And then there's, like you were saying, there's waste from that. What are they gonna do with that waste? Are they gonna do like our factories that has been through the industrial time that flooded it all out into the Mississippi, and then what happens?
I'm
You
with
know,
you.
no matter how you look at it, they're killing us one way or the other. If it's not noise, it's by pollution, it's taking our water away. They're forcing us to move off the land and move someplace else. But they're putting so many of the, almost cussed. Yeah, they're putting so many of them in the states that where are you gonna move that it ain't gonna come to you no matter where you go. So
Actually, I'm glad you said that.
by
because,
saying,
yeah.
well, it's not here, it's only there, and that's all BS.
We had a couple that was in the park in Festus for our firecracker festival, and they were in tears because they had moved here from Utah to get away from the AI hyperscale data centers, and they were getting one right down the street in Festus, Missouri, and they were devastated. I also had a man that chased me down because you guys saw my trailer out there. Isn't that great? He said, don't even tell me we're getting a data center here. Lady, I just moved to Indiana. I'm 2 miles from a 3.5 mile long AI hyperscale data center, and it's horrific. Do everything you have to do to stop it. And then I know that's not what your city council is doing.
I know what they're doing.
And
The
but
county.
you guys gotta look at the county
The
and
county's
what
wide
you're gonna
open.
do there.
Well, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that even the city one is talking about a closed loop water system, correct? So maybe, what are they gonna do with the water after 2 years? Where's it gonna go?
So we would subject them to our pre-treatment ordinance, or
And that won't be
you
good
can
enough.
pre-treat it there and send it to the sewer, and it'll be treated, it'll be discharged, or you can haul it off to other
Since
places.
when have they filtered out our water to make it really good enough to drink? They say right now that our water is so contaminated and there's so many, prescription medicines and everything that's been dumped into the waters, that all their filtration and stuff does not get it all out. And what we're asking is to allow more to be put in? I don't think so.
Valid. Yes, sir, in the back, the sunglasses. Go ahead, sir.
Can you get us?
I moved into Perryville about 16 months ago. I've been a Perry County resident all my life, and since I've moved to town, we already have water problems. Every appliance in my home that takes any kind of water has been destroyed in the last 16 months. Our water supply already needs help. The last thing we need is to have some kind of an issue with any data center and whatever they're gonna do with their wastewater or anything like that. We need to address other things first instead of putting something else in front of us that's gonna make it worse.
So let's get a show of hands who is also experiencing water issues, just, to respect transparency. So there's quite a few people, and I'm sure
I can allude to that, it's the hard water.
the hard water.
Yes, like,
You gotta get a water softener.
why, okay, there you go. I have a pool, it currently has some unknown leak, yay me. So my water bill was double what it was, yay me. Our water bills are already kinda high. So, why is that always the solution, is that we have to find a solution for each one of our residents. We got these new lovely blue LED lights in town, and the solution to the light pollution was, well, just buy some blackout curtains.
What's your city administrator's name? Where is he?
He has already heard all of this from me, he knows me very well.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
We're doing a lot of conversation about what if and how we don't want it and why we don't want it. Well, we've always looked at different things differently. What's the big deal about all the money? What do we need all the money for? We can't even do what needs to be done here with the money that we have a surplus of, in my opinion, that we're not taking care of things properly. I visited the school system, and I've seen the inside of the school building, that it's not been maintained at all, in my opinion. When you got a ceiling falling in, you got ductwork it just looks horrid, and they want a new building. And we're supposed to trust these people with a new building when they can't even maintain what they have. And now we're talking about a data center. And now my mind keeps going to follow the money. What's the root intent here? What are people really wanting? Who wants it? Why do they want it? And what are they planning to do to you?
And why are you guys putting ordinances in places for a data center if we're not gonna even have one in this area?
I don't know if you heard that, but the question is, why are we putting ordinances in place for a data center unless we're planning on getting a data center? How about let's put some ordinances in place that protect the people and not pad the pockets of pad the pockets of the guilty. Or let's say guilty. Oh, I did say it right, didn't I? What is it? Those who are hungry for money. Greedy. Guilty, greedy, guilty of being greedy.
And they just
So I want to know where the money's, what's the deal about the money? That's what I want to know.
Everybody to know that they got an extra $7.38 million out of us for this new school coming in.
Do you know that woman?
Compared to
Do you know
the
that gal
original one in
talking?
April that we told them hell no about.
But they voted
She
for
comes
it.
to a lot of these meetings, bitches.
Really?
Good.
That's the way they worded it. They did not put in plain language to let us know that they were extending the 2017 proposition for kids, and I'm pissed. As a property owner, I will be dead before that 54-cent woohoo tax decrease
Let's tell her COVID's over, she can take the mask off.
All right, we got a question over here.
That's kind of, that's a little bit off topic.
Okay.
So
Okay,
let's
go.
just go.
Man, can I go to this, or, well, you got the mic, can we go back to you?
Go ahead.
So if we wanted the school taxing agency to be exempt, if we wanted the school taxing agency to be exempt from TIF district diversions, would we do that on the local or state level?
Could you ask that one more time?
Okay. So our industrial park is a TIF district. Any funds over the base rate that was set in 2018 are 100% diverted to the TIF fund. Is there a way to make the schools exempt from that diversion, and would we do that on the local or state level?
I believe that'd be all done locally, and, is that a city tip?
That's a county tip mandated by the.
Yeah, okay, all right, but either way, so if it's that's the reason why I asked, is it would be the county commission at that point, that would.
That's a lot of money that the school's not getting. You know, all the increases since 2018 don't go to the school.
I wonder why.
Yeah, so honestly, I'm unfamiliar with, the area that you're talking about,
Well, that's just how the
situation.
TIF districts work, you know.
Well, I
Once they set
understand,
that
that
base,
yeah, TIFs work,
anything
yeah.
over,
But I'm
it gets
talking about.
diverted from those taxing agencies. And I was just wondering if there's a way to make the schools exempt from that diversion.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that, I don't know. I am familiar with how TIFs work, I sat on the TIF board,
Okay.
a TIF board in St. Genevieve. I was just talking about the specific TIF for what you're talking about, and, you know, there are, guidelines and rules that do differ, that, different communities can, change. So the district that I sat on, the board that I sat on, may be different than that district, so, but from my understanding, that, that would 100% be able to be taken care of locally. So now, have those conversations been started? That would be a question for the commission, I don't know.
Bryant, what was the question?
So essentially the question was, with a specific TIF district in the industrial.
Well, there's 3 of them.
Yeah, so, would schools be exempt? This mic's a little bit better. I don't want to paraphrase your question.
So there's TIF districts, and when a city or area sets its TIF district, it's set for 23 years. The tax rate at the time it's set is the base tax rate. Anytime taxes get increased every year, those increases are a separate stream of income. They go into the TIF district funds. Those are things that really can help the city. Wastewater, street improvements, things like that. I can see a need for that. And I was wondering, with the school being a taxing agency, those increases in the tax funds don't go to the school, they go to that TIF district. Currently, the school would be getting, you know, the base tax distribution. And I was wondering if there was a way to exempt that, so that way the schools do get those increases in taxes. And, you know, let the other funds be diverted.
And my answer is unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that.
Let's do, one more question and then one more after this. We'll just do like.
This gentleman's
Go
definitely
ahead.
had his hand
I'll
up.
go ahead.
first.
This lady's got the mic.
She is head, yeah.
Oh, Kelly, go ahead.
Yeah, if anybody needs to go, go. If you guys wanna keep going, we'll keep going.
Okay, I just want, I'll let John explain it to you, he does it better. But the schools, as I call them, indoctrination centers, they do not need any more money. And the reason why, if you'll look back 10 years, he looked back 10 years in St. Jen, the student population had not grown more than 2.3% or something like that, 2.9. But the money they're taking in, people don't see it on their tax, they see some of the money coming in, but they're taking in a heck of a lot more taxes. And what was the percentage that they're taking in?
Well, it could be, like in St. John, it's like $20 million expansion. If you kind of look at it in that regard, and it didn't all come from our local taxes, they get money from other sources. Capital expenditures came up about 2,300%. 2.9% of the population increase since 2016.
And that's your tax money. Even though they're getting it through grants, who's paying for it? We're paying for it. And people don't realize how much is going into the schools. The schools do not need any more money, they need to start teaching. But what I wanted to say before too, if you really want to know what's going on, read Agenda 2030. It will tell you why you're getting sidewalks, why you're getting apartment buildings all over, because they want to move you into the city, and I think some of this stuff is all about doing that very thing.
Amen.
They tell you what they want to do.
Sorry, I don't want to divert from the other citizens, but I have a question or just something that is on my mind about, so we bring in a data center, okay? So what is the next thing? Digital currency, right? What is the next thing after that? Okay, we're talking about increasing massive personal surveillance on our lives every single day. And so, you know, that's my big concern, you know, about some of probably the bigger data centers and things like that. They say, oh, we need it, you know, to store. Sam's, when you walk through that now, if you go to Sam's and you walk through the thing, the reason I know this is because we're on vacation, struck up a conversation with the people behind us, well, he's from Bentonville, Arkansas, he's IT guy. So he's like, oh, well, you have those things in your Sam's store where you walk through now, you don't have to show your ticket. I said, yeah, we do. He said, well, I helped develop that. And it scans 48 different things about you when you walk through that arch. So a multitude of information about me when I go through there. And I'm just saying this is leading to another thing and another thing and another thing. Like, oh, she bought X amount of toilet paper a month ago. Well, we got to cut her off from toilet paper because she's purchased too much. You know, it could be anything because they're going to track every single thing that you purchase. Maybe they already are. I don't know. Well, obviously they are at Sam's. I mean, they say they're doing it so that they can restock the shelf when you make a purchase. But I just see this it's bigger than what we even can wrap our heads around at this point. And I just wanted to say that about Sam's. They know what you're buying all the time.
With Tammy and the flock cameras, it's all tied together.
I just wanted to tag on to what Tammy just said. A lot of people laugh and scoff and make fun of that, but this is actually what they've written. This is in their plans. And for those who haven't seen it, don't know, don't believe it or not, if you don't rise up, get out of your seat and do something, this is what's coming. And like it or not, your local government isn't here to help you. I'm not here to put anybody down. I'm calling it like it is. I see it. It's clear. The writing's on the wall. It's not fear tactics. It's not hopium, by far not. And it's not about being afraid of everything. It's about knowing what your rights are. Start studying the Constitution. Don't stop there. Bill of Rights. Magna Carta. Start waking up, people. Because if you don't know your rights, you don't have them. If you think you're a citizen and not a people, you're missing the mark. When you become a people and you rise up, grab yourself by your bootstraps and pick it up, that's where the rubber meets the road. Wake up.
Kelly, and then we'll go with you, ma'am. Kelly?
Okay, question. You guys were saying that the data centers, they can come down here. Why would you want to have another one that can transfer to Cave or Jackson or even back up north? Why put another one in whenever all that information can come down here?
So do you mean why? I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around your question. Why do we need one?
Why put another one?
Multiple.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't have an answer to that. I mean, I don't think we need one in my community, just like I think many people don't think we need one in this community. I guess for whatever reason, the businesses and corporations that run these data centers, I guess with the expansion of technology, think they need more. And but I don't know the actual answer to that. I mean, obviously, if there is apparently a need for them, otherwise they wouldn't be building them. And they're not cheap. They're not cheap facilities by any means. So once again, I think that's why these meetings are important, especially with elected office holders here and the city administrator, and so that way we can get a feel for what our community needs and wants. And I would imagine communities across the entire state are doing the same exact thing and probably hearing the same exact concerns that you guys are bringing up here tonight.
Hey, Bryant, something towards that. One of the things that's coming about right now, or they have so much backlash on this stuff that they're starting to put in small data centers in people's homes. Like if you got spare space in your garage, they'll have a micro data station, and I think that's the future. I think because of what we're doing here tonight, I think that's the future. They're going to have little micro data centers everywhere.
Yeah, anybody could have their own, what can be considered a data center in their home. It's called like a home lab, a home server. You can create your own server in your house, and and rather than, this is actually something that's becoming quite prominent, rather than store your stuff with Microsoft or Google, you basically build your own home server, and then you have your stuff. Your personal data, excuse me, brain fart there. Your personal data would be held on this home server instead of being with Microsoft or with Google or any of these other organizations. So, to Tom's credit, I mean, that's certainly one way to potentially combat these things, but they're not easy to. First of all, they got to be maintained, but you have to be pretty good with IT to be able to build these. I've kind of dabbled in it myself and have been unsuccessful in doing so. Of course, that was before I ran out of time and started getting busy and doing all this other stuff. But yeah, I mean, there are all these facilities they're just ginormous computer buildings essentially, and that's what they're doing is they're housing personal data and things along those lines. But one way to combat them is, I think Tom brings up a good point, is having your own servers. Ma'am, I know she had, that gentleman.
Couldn't it be possible to use initiative petition if enough people signed it, to bring it up to a vote to make Missouri a moratorium?
100%. Yeah, that's actually that kind of goes back to your question. Now, thank you for bringing that up. That's something that I forgot. Yeah, we do still have the initiative petition process, not only for constitutional amendments, which is what Amendment 4 dealt with, but also just RSMOs in general, state statutes. Enough citizen signatures across the entire state, and you go to the Secretary of State's office and you present your own legislation. So the people here in Missouri do have a path to be involved in the legislative process, not only through their representative but by their own grassroots means. Yeah, it 100% can be done, and quite frankly, it's I would be surprised if someone hasn't already started that. I haven't heard of any, but I'm sure there's some sort of grassroots effort out there. Have you heard of anybody pushing an initiative petition yet?
I've heard little bits and pieces, but I've not definitively. Wake Up Jeffco is just, we're just fighting for our lives.
Wake Up Jeffco is just fighting for their lives. I know Father had a question. Tammy, did you?
Hey, just before that's closed, it would have to be related to health concerns or environmental impact to have standing. Otherwise, it'd be overturned in courts. So if that happens, you'd have to have the right standing.
I think initiative petition can be ran for any.
You can be, but I'm saying standing in court. You can't just ban a business from setting up shop and.
Well, right. It would go through the same legal recourse as any legislation that would come out of the General Assembly. Sure.
Right.
I don't know what that is, but.
Go ahead, Father.
Hey, I don't have a question. I have more of a comment. I came here tonight to hear about AI. I've heard a lot of other issues tonight that have been interesting to me, so thanks for sharing those tonight also. But I was an engineer before I became a priest, and so I tried to look at the practical aspects of what AI is today. And I grew up with the computers. I was an engineer for Philco Ford Aerospace. I helped build a satellite. We only had one computer for all of Philco 4, and I had to talk to it with ticker tape. So computers have come a long ways since then. And AI is the next step. And it's going to happen, and there are good things and bad things that can happen with it. But it's going to, we need to develop it and try to learn to control it in a good way. What the AI centers are that cause the problems, you can compare it to your iPhone. Your iPhone has these little chips in there, and you can use them to compute things. Well, AI is much more than that. It has billions of these little chips that are much more powerful than the ones in our iPhones, and they develop a lot of heat. They also take a lot of energy to run them, so that's the reason they need all of this electricity to come to these places. Well, after the electricity gets there, it causes an awful lot of heat because these little chips, they cause like 15 to 20% more heat than a regular chip, and you've got billions of them. So it takes a lot of water to cool those chips down. I was reading information on today in the internet. It said a mini AI plant could take up to 17 billion gallons of water a year to cool those little chips. And a large one could take up to 33 billion gallons of water a year. So where does that water come from? I would assume here in Perryville it would come from our aquifers underneath the ground. Is that correct?
Yep.
We don't have any rivers or anything. Okay. Another concern is if it's coming from those aquifers, how do you do that without polluting them? I've heard you talking already about the water having some problems. I was on the Hopi Indian reservation for 21 years, and a coal company offered to mine the coal on their reservation, and they would give all of the Native Americans free coal. So that sounded pretty good. They let them build a plant there, and in a few years, they have one aquifer, a huge aquifer underneath the reservation. That's their only water source. It started becoming very polluted. And then it took all kinds of legal paraphernalia to finally get the coal mine closed. But now they have to have all kinds of filtration for their water. So one of the concerns with these large plants is it's going to require that water. Where's it going to come from? How's it going to come from safely? And then if you have those, you have to get rid of it. That's another one. Another thing, these big plants that have these chips, those chips don't last forever, and they're toxic themselves. So as they wear out, where do those chips go? That's a real concern also. Okay. The other one, part about the electricity coming in also, same place that their electricity comes from is where your electricity comes from. So if there's an electricity shortage sometime, who gets the preference? AI or the?
Yeah.
So
Father said, if you guys can't hear him back there, he's got a concern about the water. Who has a concern about the water? Whose number one concern is the water? Can I see a show of hands? If you're not, okay. Whose number one concern is the noise?
Courtney, if you're next to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned about all of
I haven't
this.
read anything about the noise, but I'm sure that could be a concern also.
And then Father was just talking about the overall
Water
pollutants.
and the electricity are the two
The electric.
concern me right away. That's just practical things that they can't do without. They have to have those things.
Right, and what we're seeing in like Corpus Christi, Texas, is they've got all these contracts with developers and industry, and the people don't have enough water because the manufacturers and developers are getting the water first. Anybody else see that? And then of course, I don't know if you guys have seen about the cows in Texas. Anybody know what I'm talking about? The stillbirth issue with the cattlemen down in Texas that are next door to the AI hyperscale data center. So there's enough cause and concern that we're not imagining this. And I want to just tell you guys one thing, because I know we probably want to close this up soon, but there's a gentleman by the name of Sherman Doyle, whose house is next door to this data center in Festus. You guys may have seen him. He's been all over the internet. He's the guy with the big beard, okay? and he's really a fantastic speaker. And he says, never believe them, the developers, when they say that you're alone in the fight. Never believe them when they say that your fight is a lost cause. Never believe them when they say that you are misinformed. You can win. If it's worth fighting for, then you can win. And that's his message to you. Do you have anything else you want to say, Bryant?
I just want to, me personally, I can close with just appreciate you guys for hosting this, Tammy, Gwen, Denise. I'm learning just like everyone else. And I think to see community leaders from all across the community and specifically the 145th district here shows how important of a situation and how important of an issue this is to everybody. And so I appreciate everybody I appreciate everyone voicing their concerns. And I know for a fact, we're going to take this back to Jeff City. And I know my new colleague here, or hope to be colleague, I still got generals to get past, of course. But assuming that we can both make it, then we look forward to working with her on trying to protect Missourians from data centers and from whatever, any kind of infringements on your rights. So I just appreciate everybody for being here this evening, and thanks for allowing me to come up and say, Tammy.
Okay, I got another question back here, and then
Oh, okay, they got.
we've got one more question. She's been waiting a long time.
Thank you.
Oh, they got questions back here.
Lots of questions over there. Is this mic even working? Hello, okay. All right, it was great to see.
How about now?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So my name is Angela Hotop Francis. I have been born and raised in Perry County. A lot of people recognize that Hotop name and the Francis name. I often get asked, hey, are you related to Rick Francis? Is Crystal here? No, she's not. And I say, yes, I am actually, but not by the way you might think. Actually, Chris Francis and I are two Hotop women that married two Francis men from the Fredericktown area. So that's just a little bit about who I am. And those that know my family know that I was raised very pro-life. My father ran for lots of offices, won some, lost some. And my mom is super pro-life, still at 96 years old. So I am pro-life womb to tomb, and this is one issue that I share with the Democrats. This is one time that is bipartisan. I am pro-life because if we don't have water, we don't have life. And the Democrats, this is a issue for them when it comes to the same thing, environmental. So this is a bipartisan issue. I asked the commissioners, Jared Coops was there. Jared, good to see you tonight. Good to see you, Brent Fear. Good to see you, Mr. Umschler. Thank you for coming, and whoever else. But I know, Mayor Riney, he's a good guy, and he supports my students a lot. I work with individuals with developmental disabilities. And Brent, thank you. So I do have questions. This is great to see so many people that are on different sides of the aisle that come together in one room. And that's what we need to see as we work through this process. I asked for a moratorium for 1 year of the county commissioners so we can have dialogue like what's happening right now, that we can put people in the room together that might be on opposite sides of the topics in the past. The history of the past for myself and myself alone, my voice has been ignored in the past on different topics. And I don't want that to happen on this topic because it's hugely important to our community. Our farmers are not happy. So anyhow, on with the questions and some comments. So there are lots of tools to assure people. There are so many tools in our country and in our state to help us push back if our city and county government does not listen. Last night, I had a 90-minute conversation with a gentleman named Scott. Scott is a senior at Lindenwood University. He was the lead on the committee It's St. Charles County to get a moratorium and now a ban. It is the first city in the United States that got that across. So Scott and I talked for 90 minutes last night. There is strategy out the wazoo if our city and county leaders don't listen. There are lawyers. We have Lori Rook, who just won a position. She's against data centers, and there are multiple lawyers, according to the gentleman I spoke to last night. There is strategy. If we can't come together, get a one-year moratorium, and really dialogue like we need to. So, that being said, well, and Scott's willing to come to Perryville and meet with whoever and to be at one of these meetings. He's just an amazing young man, very, very, very smart. So, okay, couple questions. Brent, one of the aldermen, last week, Kate Martin said, Perryville is one of those places that data centers want to come to. So that's one question. I have three. So why is that?
I would think because of the community that we are and the community that we've been. We're a community that's embraced businesses in the past, and people want to live here, people want to work here. I think it's a compliment to the community we've built as a community.
I thought maybe there was something more to that. Perryville's gotten very progressive. In some ways, I like my Aldi's, but I would trade my Aldi's and my Dairy Queen in any day for clean water. So some days I don't want Perryville to grow anymore. St. John County's looking pretty good to me. So that's just me personally, 'cause it's just my words. Okay, the water, this gentleman mentioned water. I want to know about pollution and air. If we can't control what's happening at TG with that air, how can we control what's happening with the data center? My husband and I will come home from Cape and we smell that smell in Brewer. We come home from St. Louis, Bealey. We smell it in Bealey. As soon as we hit Bealey, we're covering our noses. We come home from St. Louis, as soon as we hit Brewer, we smell it. I work with individuals with disabilities that come to my office who have lung capacity issues, and they'll walk that TG trail, and it just breaks my heart. I stay professional. I don't say anything, but it breaks my heart. Days I have to leave and go like this on my way home because I have asthma and it smells horrible. What is going on with the TG air pollution? I have heard that we've had EPA come in here and they can't find anything. No. I have gone to Therapy Solutions and just made a little joke. Holy cow, the big explosion of conversation that happened amongst the patients. So we need to know this. We need to have honest conversations. How are we going to control that pollution? If we can't control that pollution, the water issues, how are we going to control this other data center? Almost done, Tammy. Okay. The other thing, okay, and I'm just going to be transparent and honest. These are the things that are being said, okay? So I mentioned to somebody how much money, millions and billions, we can make off a data center. And they're like, why do we need that money? And I'm like, I don't know, why? And then they come back and say, well, you know why? This is the joke. Because we need to pay off the data center. So we think that that's why, the Justice Center, thank you. So I walked away, I laughed, I thought that was funny. But then I scratched my head and I'm like, is that true? Is it true? Like, are we upside down in the budget so much that our county needs these funds to pay off the Justice Center or to get more money to get a gorgeous football field? Like, what's going on? So, do you want to answer that now or do you want to?
I'm not going to speak for the county. I don't think they're underwater what people need to understand about property taxes, all the property taxes you guys pay, 70 to 75% is for the school district. 10 to 15% is for the city and the county. And then there's a bunch of other, the library, the hospital gets a little bit, the mental health board, SB 40. There's several other entities. So the biggest portion of that by far belongs to the school district.
Of the residents' taxes.
You have a question for me, sir?
I'd just like to have your comments. Why weren't you at the meeting last week?
I was on vacation with my family. I'm sorry that I missed that meeting. I went with my son and his wife out of Cape Girardeau, and they had this vacation planned for several months, and I simply could not make that meeting. Again, I apologize for that. I think our president of our board, Steph Ansler, handled that meeting very well, along with the rest of the board and Brent.
Also, Larry, how come you look straight at me when you laughed at me just right there in the corner?
I apologize if I did that. That's certainly not my intent. I'm not here to laugh at anybody or to downgrade anybody. This is a wonderful community. We have some outstanding people in Perryville and Perry County. We try to work together with the commissioners. We do the best we can. I'm very proud to be the mayor of Perryville. I love and respect all the individuals in here. I see Charlie and Dale and the rest of the guys, and Doc Hutchison, and played pickleball with his wife occasionally when I had time. I am not here to disrespect anyone, and if you feel that I did that, I sincerely apologize. To tell you, I didn't even know I did it. I'm sorry if I did. That is clearly not my intent. So, does anyone have another question? Yes, sir.
Can you remind people to be of the utmost integrity and respect?
Well, we're okay.
Hey, Larry,
We're okay.
I got a question when they got into.
Okay, we're just gonna have a few more questions here. But I had a question the way back, and they've just been skipped over because I didn't see them. So this question would be for you, Jared, because it is a county question. So, what can be done as far as a county, since there are no zoning ordinances or anything like that?
Yeah, don't get close to that.
Well, Brian touched on this a little bit earlier in regards to not having planning and zoning in Perry County. He spoke about St. Genevieve County and their commissioners. He believes are in line with him, but they don't personally want P&Z in their county. The closest county actually to us that has planning and zoning is Jefferson. Cape Girardeau County does not have it. St. Francis County does not have it. There are very few counties our size that would have that in the state of Missouri. And if we did have P&Z, we don't have the ability, without P&Z, we don't have the ability to just target or to restrict certain things related to data centers. It would actually be, it'd have to be more broad scoping. And in fact, without P&Z, we have no enforcement issues. So while people use the word moratorium, think resolutions or things of that nature.
It's gotta get a little further. There you
I
go.
apologize.
There you go.
With that, we just have no enforcement mechanism for it. So that's where we're at on that. Did I answer your question? They had other things tonight. I'm here on behalf of the county.
Tammy.
Oh.
Tammy, Mr. Kinski's here. I think he's got a comment that he would like to. Right in front of you. Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about what you just said and just focus on something that happened in St. Genevieve County that I think is similar and a little bit different than data centers. We had a silica mine proposal. Basically, they wanted to frack mine fracking sand just outside of Pond State Park. And the overwhelming number of people in St. Genevieve were opposed to that. But the county did not have planning and zoning, and so the county couldn't do a moratorium on fracking sand, on mines for fracking sand. But I was on the health department at the time, and we got an attorney, and his name happens to be Jeffries, the same attorney that was mentioned earlier today. He is an excellent attorney. I'm an attorney. He's a much better attorney than I ever was. But in any event, what we ended up doing was we passed an ordinance. The county commission did, and so did the health department, that said, if you're going to put a fracking sand mine in St. Genevieve, it's got to have these setbacks, this setback, that setback. You've got to have water studies done. You have to have this done and that done.
And fines.
Mr. Wolfin talked about how we're going to be in limbo for a while because Governor Keogh is not exactly on the side of the people, to put it mildly. But an ordinance like this worked in St. Genevieve. It was attacked by the fracking sand lawyers. I think there were 20 of them. But it was attacked, and Jeffries found a little technicality that basically said the mine doesn't have an interest in the land yet, they just have an option on the interest, and that just threw the other lawyers' case out, and the value of fracking sand went down, and we dodged the bullet. So there are things that a county can do to dodge the bullet. You can say, you can get the health department to pass an ordinance saying that we have these serious health concerns, and God knows there are health concerns with data centers. So you can buy time with that, you can possibly win. The issue never came up because fracking sand went down in price. But I just want to say one other thing that I've heard throughout here. You've got people who are Democrats, Republicans, pro-life, pro-choice, whatever you want to call it, but there is one issue right now. I remember when there were CAFOs, these concentrated animal feeding operations that were going into northwest Missouri, Atchison County, and counties like that. And those counties were red, Republican, not communist.
Same thing.
And they passed county rules on this, citing health concerns, and they got shot down. And I was on my lovely little rocky porch looking out over an Ozark Valley in St. John County, and frankly, this is a confession, I didn't care, because I've never been to northwest Missouri. But data centers are going to happen everywhere. So you might, or can happen anywhere and everywhere. And so I think that we can get our voices heard because they would be all of Missourians' voices getting heard. So that's all I have to say.
Hey Larry, I got a question.
Okay.
So Brent,
First of all, congratulations, Bryant. We're glad you won.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well said, Marcia.
They're going to store all of our data, right? So what are they going to do with it? Are they just going to store it? Are they going to use it against us? Are they going to lose it if something happens to it? And they have everything that they need.
Your phones are
all
private tracking
AI
devices.
generated. Can they run our 911 off of it?
They're doing that in order.
So I don't have an answer to the 911 question, but in regards to your data right now, it is already being sold. Any of those little disclaimers that we all never read and essentially sign up or check mark the box as we sign up for social media. Unfortunately, we're giving over our data to those companies, and then they sell it off to other companies so they can specifically target with marketing to your phone, or sometimes I think it's using card transactions to also see the same thing. So they know what you buy, they know what you like, they know apparently what you're saying, according to sometimes when you're talking, and next thing you know, it pops up on your social media. So that's kind of what is happening, and yeah, I'm sure that that type of information is being stored in facilities like this. But I can't answer the last question. I don't know the answer to AI and using it for 911 purposes. I don't know. New Orleans started that. Well, we'll definitely have to look into that.
And not do it.
And well, I haven't even heard of it, to be real honest, until right now. So, Charlie.
Yeah, I think this is a good time of day to have a meeting.
Charlie.
Closer.
I think this is a good time of day to have a meeting. I wish the commissioners could have meetings at this time of day. There's anybody that work early that could attend the meetings. They got them at 9 o'clock Monday morning and 1 o'clock Thursday afternoon. So that don't work very well for people that work. Of course not. So who would all attend the meeting if it was at this time of day? Commissioners. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. Any other questions or
I
comments?
got a question for Larry and Bryant, whoever wants to answer it.
Can you?
So you keep talking about the industrial park, and I realize that. I keep warning people, I think it's gonna be in the county versus the city, but still, there is privately held property in Perryville City. There's farmland over by citizens, if that's correct, or no?
But it would not match our zoning requirements. With our new zoning requirements, if I was a farmer.
Here you go. That's my question.
That is correct, Brent, basically. If I was a farmer and I had 100 acres in the city of Perryville and a data center approached me and let me retire down in the Key West for the rest of my life, that would definitely be my option. But according to our city codes and our city planning and zoning, those 100 acres would not get a data center because we would restrict it from going there.
Every property annexes in is residential 1, which is the most restrictive by law. And then there would have to be a zoning review to change it. But everything comes into the city, as the mayor said, is residential.
So literally, the only places in Perryville City would be an industrial park.
Yeah, that's how
And,
it
and,
is.
industrial park.
and that's the point I'm trying to make. If it's gonna happen in Perryville, it's gonna happen in the county.
No, we would not.
It
won't happen
in the city. It won't happen in the city. That's the point I'm trying to make, is it will not happen in the city. You guys are not under the heat. It's gonna happen in the county if it happens.
Well, as Brent has mentioned earlier, we have been approached by a small.
By small, but those aren't the big problem.
That's for the city.
That's correct. That's for
The little
city.
data centers are not a problem.
Area that we
What
have.
Tom is talking about.
We've done
and
got a
how to
data
address some
center
concerns
in
across the room
Missouri,
about the
back in
county
Missouri.
is that they could put a huge data center in the county anywhere if an individual was willing to sell their land. And so, you know,
And it could be right next to the city limits.
right, it could be right next to the city limits as far as that goes. It could just be right outside of the city limits. But if a property owner wants to sell whatever, 100, 200, 300 acres, you know, they could do that. And so there's nothing that anybody could do to stop it. So I guess what I'm saying is if farmers truly value their land, if they truly value their heritage, if they truly value the generations that are yet to come behind them, because you know what? There's no more land. There ain't gonna be no more land. What God has given us, He's given us. And He's given us it to work it, to eat off of, to drink off of it, to provide for our needs. And so, you know, I think the big thing is gonna be, you know, can you convince someone not to sell? I don't know.
If I could basically address the question that may be on some individuals' minds about, okay, the farmer sells 100 acres next to the city, and then the city has the option to annex. That is not going to happen for a data center as long as I'm mayor. That will not happen. Now, according to I cannot speak for the county. I work with Jared a lot. We have meetings usually about once a week. But our friendship with the county, we will definitely communicate together about this very difficult question. And so I guess my question to the group here is, if the data center wants to come in, and basically all we have is 25 acres for a data center, is that a big problem?
Yes.
Okay.
Zero, no.
Okay, that's kind of where we need to be. I mean, we work for you people.
That's right.
It's not the other way around. And I'm gonna get on my soapbox here a little bit, because I'm gonna go all the way to the top of the mountain to the presidency. If we want the American people to control America again, get big corporations out of government. If you would imagine the money that's being poured into Jefferson City by these special groups, Torch Manufacturing being one of them, because they control all the one-armed bandits here in our city. We don't like them, we don't want them, but there's nothing we can do about it at this time. Please call the Attorney General and say, we need that stuff stopped. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
So here, just a clarification, so you basically are saying, if we would request
Thank you, Larry.
the commissioners or citizens, I know Camden County had citizens involved in their moratorium, and they did do a moratorium in Camden County as well. So are you basically saying that we can't do that?
Absolutely not saying that. It just holds no water. It will not, it holds no water in court.
It's a discouragement. At the very minimum, it's a discouragement.
So I wanted, Mr. Kinski, sorry to put you on the spot here, but going back to what you had said about St. John's setbacks that they set, and your legal opinion, the litigation against this ordinance, if it wouldn't have fell through for the technicality, and then silica mine, if it was based solely on the setbacks that were set in this ordinance, does that hold weight in court? Because I personally agree with what Mr. Coots is saying here, is that, right, from everything that I've heard, understanding about like the landfills that are potentially coming in the state, that these counties literally cannot do anything, because what Mr. Coots is saying is there is no authority, or like any teeth behind these setbacks. And I know you're an attorney, so I just want to get your opinion.
Okay, so you're asking me essentially, would we have won the case but for the technicality? And the answer is maybe. I know that's not a good answer, but
That's a politician answer.
We have to convince the judge that there were health concerns, and that these health concerns were valid.
You had to go through the back
And it
door
was
and get it.
the Silica Mines position, no, everybody's health would be great and wonderful. And our position was there wouldn't. And we were getting to a point where we were hiring experts who would testify on the silica mine. You know, the mine, silica is a very fine sand, and it's basically cause coal miners to lose their lungs. So if any of it gets out, it's a terrible health concern. The mine was saying, oh, none of it's gonna get out, you can trust us. And our position was, heck, we can. And so that would have been the issue that was litigated. It would have cost a fortune. And basically, I think we would have won, because we don't have to prove that we're right. We just have to prove that our concerns are reasonable. So, you know, I think we would have won, but I sure can't guarantee it. And I can tell you that what it really did was it stopped the Silica Mine operation dead in its tracks. And during that time, we regrouped, we had other plans, organizations were formed, so it definitely bought us time. And I think anybody who lives around Hawn or close to Hawn, and
I'm one.
You live
I'm one, yeah.
close to Hawn, you know, they didn't want the Silica Mine, and, you know, it bought us time, and maybe we'd have won, and maybe we would have lost, but we would have spent a heck of a lot of money.
Well,
Bryant?
I appreciate that. The only reason I brought it up is because, once again, it's not black and white, right? So like we once again, going back to the General Assembly, whether it's myself or yourself, these are the things that we have to be bringing to the table for our county, so they do have the authority to make these decisions.
Sure.
Bryant, that gets back to what I was.
You've got the silica sand, the arguments, I think data centers, the people who are against them have a much stronger argument than silica sand does, and part of the reason is nobody outside of St. Genevieve County really cared about the silica mine in St. Genevieve because there ain't silica. Maybe you've got some silica sand down here, but there's silica all over the state.
Brian, that gets back to what I was saying earlier. You got to have standing with the health concerns or environmental concerns. That gives your county standing, Jared. That if you're serious about protecting our county, you got to rely on the health concerns and the environmental concerns. It's not about anything else. You just got to have regulations in place to protect the people's health and the environment.
That's why the health department that I was.
And the health department. That's it. That's what I'm saying.
With the county commission, we basically.
Otherwise, you have no standing.
We basically passed identical regulations because we wanted the focus to be on health.
Yeah.
There were other reasons to be against the silicon mine.
Sure.
But they on.
Property value has a little standing, but I'm telling you, health and environmental are the two main factors.
Tom, I agree with you 100%. I know the commission does too. The commission, we're very fortunate because we have a very close relationship with the city of Perryville. They communicate with us many things. We are thankful, and the commissioners wanted me to share this tonight, we are thankful that the city is going through such a diligent process and doing their research, coming back, rewriting things, making sure they're not missing things that other communities have to protect our citizens. We wish, Brian spoke of the possibility of legislation, maybe providing counties that don't have P&Z some type of ability to do offsets, things of that nature, to consider the health and the safety of our communities. We would love to have the ability to do similar things to the city of Perryville, but we have to have the legislature give us that. I live in the city limits. By living in the city, and I'm gonna get on my soapbox. I got this concrete slab that's poured on my lot. I got an acre, right at an acre in town. That little concrete slab would be great to put a shed in so I wouldn't have to park my lawnmower in my garage. But I can't build a shed there because it sticks just a little bit in front of my house. And according to city ordinance, that I can't build on that unless I do something funky and all weird, but I don't want to have to do that. But if I lived out in the county, I'd have a shed. So I sacrifice some things by living in town because in the county we don't have P&Z. P&Z would mean I could face a similar situation anywhere in the county because that planning and zoning group is going to say, hey, these are the rules we got to follow for these reasons. And that's probably specifically why St. John County Commissioners have said they don't want it. Cape Girardeau County has tried to pass P&Z and they couldn't get it passed in the past. So hopefully the legislature I came to a meeting on data centers tonight and a debate for the 140 whatever district broke out, but it was an agreement debate, so thank you guys. But what I hope is whoever goes to the legislature, that y'all go there and you help us solve this problem, because that's what we need is more tools to help with those things to protect our counties.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jared.
Okay, I think we're gonna wrap it up. Did you have any closing comments, Ann? And then I have a couple announcements regarding next month because we already have a secured speaker for next month.
I just want to leave you guys with something I did with this election year. And so I would go to anybody that I met at the doors and I'd say, hi, I'm Ann Moloney, I'm running for state rep. I've got 8 kids serving in the United States military. We decided it's mom's turn to serve. And I'd say, Bryant, this is a cleaning cloth for your glasses. Will you help me clean up Jefferson County? And then I give them my little fancy schmancy here and write my little phone number on there and say, well, I want you to feel free to call me if you want to be on my advisory board. Because I'm not taking money from the lobbyists or the PACs. We're supposed to be the people that are represented in the office. So I want to let you know that there's that door in the office of Jeff City that I'll have, maybe. It's always open to you, and maybe you want to be on my advisory board. And so that language really was so attractive to people and so fresh that I get elected in with literally no money. And when I got to the House Republican caucus, this meeting we have the day after you get elected, and you go there and you're exhausted, and they try to bring in all the lobbyists, and you gotta get the lobby money. I said to the lobbyists, it's so nice to meet you. Do you wanna give money to wake up Jeffco? Oh, you're with the data center. Oh, okay. Do you still wanna give us? No, but that's how it's ended up very organically. That this has kind of happened with my campaign, and I share that because each and every one of you guys can do this. Each and every one of you guys can rise up and you can run for office. What's your name?
No.
That's what I said. But you have to be open to what the Holy Spirit is leading you to do. And I was going to Mass every morning and praying on my knees, and when you're in the surrender position on your knees, you're literally saying, I surrender to you, Lord. So that's, what our spirits were made to do. And if we keep just saying, well, somebody else is gonna fix it, somebody else ain't gonna fix nothing. We have to look in the mirror and go, well, what is the good Lord telling me to do? What did he give the gifts that I have? You think I don't wanna be home with my grandkids? I sure would, but the good Lord gives us marching orders. So I want to just share that with you guys today, and let the Holy Spirit flow through each and every one of you. And don't always say no, because God is going to meet you one day. And I'm going to share this real quickly. I had a daughter that died at birth 25 years ago. Broke my heart. I had a husband for 30 years. And everything was pretty great. And then he got addicted to opiates, and he abused the tar out of me for about 5 years. And I had to get a divorce, and I lost everything, all my status. Being Catholic and divorced, that ain't so good. I lost everything. I was on the ground. And 2 weeks after that divorce was final, I got the phone call as I'm walking into 8 o'clock Mass, and it's my daughter-in-law, and she says, Aunt, David just drowned. My oldest son drowned.
Jeez.
And there I was right at the door of the church going in, and I'm gonna sit there and let God literally minister to me right there. And I knew I couldn't lose my mind because I had all these kids all over that we had to find and bring back for the funeral. And God gives us all kinds of experiences. He breaks us down. And I know each and every one of you guys have a story about cancer or death. And that's God bringing you to your knees, and he's building you back up to be what he wants you to be. And he doesn't want us sitting on our butts scrolling. Amen. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
So, and I just urge each and every one of you to rise up and get involved and say, okay, Lord, here I am, send me. It won't be so pretty, but you'll be able to face your maker one day and say, well, I used all my gifts. And I want to say one more thing about your county people, your elected officials that are here tonight. We've never had this discussion forum in Festus. They won't talk to the people. Our county officials, I am the only person, I'm not even elected, that has come to the meetings in Festus. So I just want to remind you, the people you guys have that are showing up and are willing to take, everything from you, really, you're gonna need that respect that you give them one day when you're sitting in that position, okay? So let's be always respectful, and I really thank the people that are here that are elected, because this wouldn't be happening in Festus, and it never has, all right?
Thank you, very, very, very well said. And I think what she keyed on is, and I know, and Jared may recall, 2 different conversations I've had with him in the past. When I go in and I have concerns and questions and, I said, I'm not the judge. You may remember this conversation a couple times, Jared. I said, I'm not your judge, but we all have to stand before one day, and we have to give an account. And the Lord sees everything. There's so many scriptures that say there is nothing hidden that will not be uncovered. There is nothing whispered in the dark that will not be shouted from the rooftop. Because one day it will all come to fruition, and we will have to give an answer for that. So we need to be very careful, therefore, that's another scripture, of how we live and how we act and how we do treat others. And so, another thing that I've said in the past, I'm going to say it again tonight, because sometimes, we don't have the answers. We don't really know what to do. But there is one that does know. And there is one that is just waiting for you to ask him, what is the answer, Lord? Where should I go? What should I do? In James, it says, if any of you lacks wisdom, ask, because he will freely give it to all who ask. Wisdom, understanding, discernment. We're living in very difficult times. We're living in times I've never, and I worry for my kids, my grandkids especially. But we have to discern, and discernment is being able to distinguish what's truth and what's not. Sometimes I'll tell my kids, they'll say, well, Mom, why do you think that? And I said, I cannot show you on black and white, but I just know it because I've asked. I've asked our all-knowing, all-seeing God to download into me what is truth and what is deception. And we are going to have to live each and every day asking for those things to the one who does know and who does see, because he is the one that we will have to give an answer to someday. It's not going to be to each other. It's going to be to our almighty sovereign God. And so seek him daily for guidance, for understanding, to make the right decisions for yourselves and for your families, because the decisions made today are going to affect the next down the road and the next. And I do very much worry for my grandchildren. I think my kids are going to be okay, but I worry about my grandchildren. With that said, I'm going to ask Father maybe to close. Would you mind to close with a prayer? But before we do that, I'm going to just say next month, second Tuesday of the month, I don't know exactly what that date is. I think it's the 15th. Is that right? Labor Day falls late. I'm thinking it's maybe the 15th.
15th could be the second.
Or wait, no, it would be the 8th, because Tuesday's the 1st.
Oh, gotcha.
Tuesday's 15th would be
Tuesday,
the-
September 1st. So the 1st is on the Tuesday. So the second Tuesday is going to be on the 8th. So I know.
Day after Labor Day.
The day after Labor Day. So another hot topic issue is flock cameras. And so we have Ike Skelton coming from Camden County, and he's going to address the issue of flock cameras. He made the news. He had a lawsuit against him as a commissioner out there in Camden County. So it's going to be on flock cameras, so if all of you are interested about learning more about that. And because I know that's another thing we have here, and I know that they're wanting more here. So anyway, but you need to know, right? And so if you can't get to the meetings during the day, we're going to meet here then on the 8th on Tuesday, and you'll get to hear a little bit more about that. So do you want to, or you want me to? Okay.
my first time to attend a meeting like this in Perryville. Most of the places I've been before I came here, there were very few Christians, not just Catholics. On the Hopi Reservation where I was, most of them were anti-Catholic. So coming here, it's been like coming to heaven already. No, and again tonight, there's been so many spiritual things said. Just like to kind of comment on a couple of them. But you know, God calls us to be holy, not good. And holiness begins in our homes. We should leave in the morning from a place that's holy, our home, then go out into the world to face the world. And then in the evening, we should be able to come home to a place that we know is holy and feel safe and home there, and that for your children also. Another thing about doing God's will, you don't have to be searching for God's will. God will present the things that He wants you to do, and you just have to recognize them, that you have the abilities to meet those needs and say yes, and God will help you accomplish it. Yeah, life is not really that complicated if every day we try to do God's will. So let's just end with a little prayer tonight. And I don't want to say a prayer of my own, but we know a beautiful prayer that Jesus has taught us. But think about the words as we say the Our Father together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.